Hello, everyone. I'm Lonnie from Untitled Nerd Network. Up here in that tiny little screen up at the top. I'm new to Zoom and haven't been able to figure out how to get this to where we're equal parts of the screen, but I'm here with the lovely Ellen Reid from Crash Test Dummies. Welcome.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Oh, thank you for coming on. I've been wanting to talk to you for a while. I've interviewed Brad Roberts twice and have not quite gotten to interview you, and I have been just salivating at the prospect.
Well, I am pretty mysterious.
Yes, we're going to try to open that up a little bit and see what we can see if we can decipher the great Ellen. Um okay, so a little bit of background. I want to know, you are the backup, sometimes lead singer of Crash Test Dummies. You play a number of instruments. Um, and I mean, you add such an amazing touch to all the music. Like you're one. You don't get a lot of, like, backup singing like that anymore. It's almost a lost art, I think. What was that? How did you get mixed up with the band?
I met Brad in university, and I met him through mutual friends. And the mutual friend said that he was looking for a keyboard player for his little band that he had put together for an after hours club in Winnipeg. And so I went down, and I was the only one who, showed up. So I guess it was me. He picked me because there was no one else to pick. Yeah, so I met him at university.
That's fate. So, like, were they looking for something specific when you joined up? Like, did they say, "Oh, we just need"? They didn't specify they needed a woman or anything like that. Just
No, and I didn't even sing backgrounds for. Did I? I didn't sing for a while, and then I sung backgrounds. I didn't sing lead for a long time, probably a good year into playing, just because I didn't want to. But no, I mean, I wasn't even on every song in the set. It was just to add a little color. I mean, at any one time, we would have had like 8 people on this little tiny stage. There were a lot of people who were taking part.
oh wow.
Yeah.
So who was part of the band when you joined? Were you the last one, or were there other
Oh
people
no.
that?
Oh no. When I joined, it was well, there was Brad and the bass player at the time, George West, and our drummer at the time, Curtis Riddell. And then there was varying people who would come up for a song here, a song there. We had two other women who sang with us pretty regularly, but then when we became more serious and wanted to tour, it was just down to a core five of us. We had a
Now,
different drummer at the time, and Dan had joined when we started to tour in 1989 or 88, 89. Yeah, 89. And then when we got signed to a record deal, we got Mitch George on board, our drummer.
okay, because and y'all are that's pretty much the core group right now.
Mm-hmm.
I know y'all have. Ah, I know currently you have another guy who plays, I think, guitar.
Mm-hmm. Stuart Cameron.
Yeah, he's the one who plays on Heart of Stone during
Yes,
the live
he's
performances.
he's basically a band member. He's been with us for so long. Um, he's basically family. He's a band member to us, but he's not. He wasn't in the band back in the day when our fans would have bought the records and seen us back in the day. But he's been with us since I don't know, early 2000s.
Oh, like back during the Give Yourself a Hand days.
Um, I
Well,
don't
no,
I
that
don't
was late
I think it
90s.
was more after we weren't signed anymore, and he worked more closely with Brad. But and he wrote and produced a record with Brad too. So he's been with us a long time. He's one of us.
So, what was your first song? Like, not song in general, but what was your first lead? That was. I feel
Oh
like
god.
it. Hold on, let me. I feel like I wrote this down. Um,
In
it.
the band or like recording
No,
or
no, no.
just
Like,
perform?
what was your first lead vocal on a Crash Test Dummies album? I'm pretty sure it was "Give
Oh,
Yourself a Hand."
yes, for sure. Yeah,
Okay, you had
it
a
would have been.
couple.
Yeah, get you in the morning, just chilling, and a little something. That's what I sing lead on that.
Now, I don't know if anybody, you may have overheard when I was talking to Brad, but "Satellites Pass Over" on the Demolitions album is
Mhm.
my probably one of my it's my favorite lead vocal of yours, and probably one of my top three Crash Test Dummy songs.
Wow,
It is,
thank you.
and I I don't, because I've already had this conversation once. The Demolitions album is just an album of it says it on the cover, cast off recordings. These are ones that just weren't good enough in somebody's eyes. I know Brad thinks this way, to make it onto a main studio release album, but in all honesty, it's my favorite album of y'all's.
Oh,
I mean, I
well, it's
know
quirky. There's
it
some pretty quirky stuff going on. That's quite the digestive process. I mean, it's
yes.
pretty weird, right?
I mean, digestive process is very similar to "How Does a Duck Know?" I consider it in the same ballpark of just
Yeah, maybe.
crazy, kind of, what in the world are we even talking about here, kind of thing.
Yeah. No, it's a funny one,
Do you,
and there's some. Hmm?
well, do you have, like, y'all make a lot of interesting music. How often do you sit in on the writing process of this stuff?
I didn't do any of the writing until "Give Yourself a Hand." I wrote the melodies that I have credits on. I wrote the melodies, um, but not like the core songwriting.
Okay.
But I mean, we all write our own parts. We don't write the general music or the lyrics, but we all, like Dan would write his own bass lines, which are very specific to his style. So we all take part, but
Oh, wow.
no no writing credits, as you would understand them.
Yeah, that's interesting too, because I didn't know that that was the way you all put music together. Like, you kind of make your individual pieces and then they all come together, and that's how it works. Wow. That's how come I
Brad,
don't.
Brad would give us a rough demo, or even a more slick demo as he got more experience. But he'd get a rough demo together, and we would go home and fart around on our instruments, our keyboards, our guitars, and come together and work it out. I mean, we had to hammer things out, but yeah, it was definitely a group process.
I love it because I always, because everybody writes music different. Like, like every group, every band seems to have their own unique way of putting things together. Some people just all get in a big room and just fiddle around until they come up with something. Some people, one person handles it all and everybody else just kind of it's interesting to hear how that happens. And I've
Yeah, well,
always go
uh,
ahead.
I was gonna say, in the early days, Brad was very, like, he wrote the music, he wrote the lyrics, he had all the arrangements. We would put our own, twist on things. In later years, he did do co-writes with people, and that really gave him sort of an opportunity to expand his style and experiment with different genres and ways of performing. So he's sort of done both. He's been a very sort of singular, do it all yourself guy, and that worked and that was good. But then he also opened up and worked with other people, which was great too.
I want to talk about the Ballad of Peter Pumpkinhead.
Okay.
I would say, would I be right in assuming that was probably your most commercially successful lead vocal with the
Oh
band?
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, because that pops up. You just type in "Crash Test Dummies." A lot of times, that's one of the first two or three results.
Well, yeah,
Um,
it was on a soundtrack, and it was kind of a bit of a hit in Canada. It got a lot of radio play. But yeah, as far as my vocals are concerned, lead vocals, yeah, that one was the most popular.
yeah, that was actually on the Dumb and Dumber soundtrack,
Yes,
which
brief.
interestingly enough, when you listen, I always assumed, I never owned the soundtrack when I was younger, but I always assumed because I had seen the movie that was the song on there. I didn't know that Peter Pumpkinhead was, because the that was actually in the movie, and I don't remember ever hearing the Ballad of Peter Pumpkinhead in the actual. There's a kitty.
That's my cat's butt for you. You're welcome.
We have cat butt. We have cat butt on the
Yeah,
screen.
you'll see more of her.
That's great. There's probably going to be some on my end here in a little bit, but my screen's too small. That's great.
Yeah.
So I want to talk about your solo album.
Okay.
I discovered, this was actually, I had listened to your album right around the start of the pandemic in early 2020. And I listened to it like one time. I was like, oh, this is great. And then I just kind of lost it. But I got on last night and was really listening to some music. And I have discovered a new favorite song of yours. And it's one that I think a lot of people need to hear. And I'm going to wholly suggest that people, after this interview, go look this up somewhere. They buy. Is the album still available?
It is. You can buy it at our website at crashtestdummies.com.
Well, y'all have my word. I'm going to Crash Test Dummies after this interview, and I'm buying this album because on the strength of this one song alone, and I'm going to tell you. Do you have a guess as to what it might be?
Bullet.
The song that I absolutely fell in love with is Make You Mine.
Oh, okay. I thought it would be Bullet. Okay.
No, well, I do like Bullet. That was the second one I listened to, but Make You Mine, when I heard it last night, I actually listened to it 3 times in a row. And it is, I don't want this to come off the wrong way, but it's one of the most toxic songs of all time. I was listening to it, and it's basically, this is how I interpreted it, and I'm sure it's pretty cut and dry. Basically, it's a woman who just wants to take this guy and whittle him down into a shell of what he is, just to make him her puppet, basically.
Yeah. Yes.
And it is like, wow. Like, I it's hard for me to come up with words on this one, because it's been a long time since I've heard a song that made me just kind of stop and ponder, everything that it meant. I'm like, man, that's messed up, but really cool at the same time.
Yeah, kind of messed up and cool. Yeah.
I think a lot of us in our lives have met somebody like that. Did you write that?
I did.
Oh, wow.
Now, it's not, when I wrote it, I was thinking not about, it's more of what I was afraid that I was doing to someone.
Mm-hmm.
Not that I thought I in actuality was doing, but it was more about just being manipulative and wanting someone to do or be something that they're not, to make me feel better, which is, not a mature way to be in a relationship. So it was more about me not wanting to do that, but knowing that it was in me. Yeah. It was very in me. Yeah.
I like the song slaps. That is my favorite solo work of yours. That is my favorite song of yours. I love it. And
thank you. Well, Greg Wells did an amazing job on the production on that. He really, he made it sound pretty evil.
Yeah, the music and the instruments in there make it almost sound, it gives it almost like an asylum type atmosphere. I mean, it's really, it's something, it's music that would play when somebody's like really tripping, and it's just crazy music. I mean, it really is. I love it. So congrats on that.
Thanks.
This is me being a fan, and I know I'm biased, but I don't think that album has gotten anywhere near the credit that.
Oh, thank
Yeah,
you.
like I'm gonna be telling people about this one. Word of mouth is. I know it's been out for a few years, but I'm I love it. I really do. And
Thank you so much, Lonnie.
um, so you guys are getting ready to go on tour again,
We are.
and how have you been spending the pandemic? It's been a little over 2 years now since anybody's, and the tour has been delayed and delayed. It went from like early 2020 to late 2020 to 2021, and now 2022, and it looks like we're getting this off the ground.
Yes.
Or we,
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I think it. We would have had to have canceled already, unless something really bad happens
yeah.
and the world shuts down. Then we're going. Yeah,
No,
we're going to take all the precautions. We're being very careful. So.
yeah, I know. I'll let everybody know just in case they've missed it on the socials. They just, I think, Wayne, your tour manager, is that his? Yeah,
Yeah.
he got on and said they're not doing any kind of meet and greets. Are y'all, and I did see this question asked, I don't know if there was ever an answer, but is there going to be autographed merchandise available at the shows? Are y'all planning ahead for that?
Yeah, we're looking into it. We won't even see our merch until we're in Kansas City on the 24th. We won't see
Okay.
it. So if we have time to frantically sign a few things, I think we will, but we haven't talked to Wayne about that yet.
Okay.
It might be a little bit tough to do it, but if that's what people want, then we'll make it available for them for sure.
Yeah, I heard it. See, I've already got. I'll show you. I'll show it. Oh, I can't really show anybody because my screen's so small. But if you could see it, maybe a little bit, I've got the God Shuffled His Feet. This thing's actually framed. I had to pull it off the wall to show it off. But yeah, I actually we had to get going whenever I got that autographed, and I can't remember exactly what was going on, but Wayne like ran it back there to y'all and had everybody sign it after the show, and so that's a cherished piece. And a lot of y'all's music is on vinyl now. Like,
Yeah, we've been releasing it, and I think for this tour we'll have Give Yourself a Hand on vinyl too.
I've actually.
You got it? Oh, did we have it last time?
No, I bought it on Amazon.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's a lot of y'all's. I got the God Shuffled His Feet from the tour, and then I got Give Yourself a Hand, Ghosts That Haunt Me, and A Worm's Life on vinyl off of Amazon. So, are y'all looking at having more vinyl? Is it going to be just God Shuffled His Feet and Give Yourself a Hand at the tour? Or are y'all going to have more?
No, I think we have Ghosts That Haunt Me too.
Okay.
I don't. I think we might even have Worm's Life. I got sent a bunch of vinyl, like Wayne sent me a few vinyls just for my own to have, and I think Worm's Life is in there. I should have brought it up. Sorry.
No, it's cool.
I had it right.
Do you ever see? I already know the answer to this one, but do y'all ever see Demolitions getting a vinyl release?
I don't know. I'm sorry. I should have turned off notifications. I don't know. We'd have to be able to justify the expense. We'd have to sort of be sure that enough people would buy the vinyl to press it.
Oh yes.
I don't know. You'd have to talk to Brad and Wayne about that one.
Okay, I'll probably have to talk to them about this when we go on tour. I am curious. I talked to Brad during our interview. I think I asked him about this both times we talked. And that was, will you ever record another album? And he seems to be of the mind, and I think probably everybody else is, that it is just too expensive to record an album the right way. And it's almost like, unless you're one of like the top 10 best-selling artists in the country, it doesn't justify the expense. However, I'm curious. I'm working on y'all one at a time on this. Would Crash Test Dummies be interested in doing an album if it were crowd-funded beforehand?
Um, well, I won't say no, but really, you'd have to, like, Brad is the final word
Yeah.
on that, because he's the lead, he's the songwriter, and it's whether he feels like he has things to say. I know that he's written a new one, and I think he and Mitch might be pulling something together. I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that, except for here I am live and it's quoted. But I think I know that Brad has written one sort of new song. I don't think we'll be playing it live, but maybe that is the precursor to more. I don't know. Brad is the final word on that.
Okay. That's what. See, I'm cornering y'all one at a time, and I'm like, hey,
It's
hey,
not. You're not cornering me. It's fine.
new album, come on, we're wanting it. Because I think it's been a good 10, 11 years since you guys have released an album. Ooh La La was the last one, right?
Yeah, that was 2010.
Yeah.
So almost 12 years.
12, yeah. Because I remember when I discovered that you guys were still together, and I discovered this thing called the internet, and well, I already knew the internet, but I realized, hey, I can actually look Crash Test Dummies up here, and that was when that was going on. Y'all had Ooh La La promoting it really hard. I think Brad at the time was doing those photos from his place in Soho, taking photos of people walking by and stuff, and I was like, man, yeah. But so have you been keeping busy during the pandemic? What I know you have some hobbies that you like to do on occasion.
Yeah, it's funny because you look back and you think, oh my God, I've had 2 years where I haven't been able to do anything. Oh, I'm going to get in shape. I'm going to cook new recipes. I'm going to read 100 books. No. I sat on my butt and scrolled the internet and did cross stitch. That's what I've been doing for 2 stupid years.
That's kind of what I did, because just like you, I thought, oh yeah, we're hitting a pandemic. This is going to be a perfect opportunity while everybody's inside. People aren't doing a whole lot. I'll be able to do a million video interviews with person after person after person. And I just didn't have the mental, like, the mental charge wasn't there. And the last real good interview I ended up doing was with Brad in, I think, January 19. And, well, we did some throughout 2019. We hit pretty hard, but, like, once the pandemic hit, I was like, meh, yeah.
Well, and it's tough because if you're interviewing musicians, they don't really have anything to promote or to really talk about, because they're all hunkered down, depressed too.
That's true. Everybody's not in that right state because nobody's able to get out. Nobody's able to perform.
No.
Did y'all ever consider doing like an online show or something just to?
Yeah, we talked about it, but because we were all spread out, Brad's in New York, I'm in Toronto, Mitch and Dan are in Winnipeg, Stuart's here in Toronto. It would have been kind of a logistical nightmare, and getting everyone together, it would have been probably cost prohibitive.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm sure fans of the band just assume y'all all live in like a big compound together.
Well, when we're on tour, we do. It's called a van.
Oh, okay. Now we're talking about driving on tour. Who drives?
Stuart. Stuart does the bulk of the driving. He's a very good driver. Stuart has been touring like since he was probably 2. He was probably driving when he was 2. So, a few people will, Mitch and Dan also drive. I tend to drive after shows if it's not too far, because I'm the only one who doesn't really want to have a drink.
Yeah.
Brad doesn't want to drive. Yeah, and our keyboard player Mark drives too, but the bulk of the driving is done by Stuart.
I was gonna ask if y'all enjoyed that bottle of whiskey from Chattanooga I gifted whenever we met in West Virginia, but now I'm getting the vibe like you may not have partaken.
I didn't even know about it.
Yeah, because that was just a nice little thing, and if we would have met in person, I probably would have brought you a gift as well. today. Yeah, it's just a token of appreciation that if we're meeting in person, hey,
You
let's.
don't. You
I
don't. You
know,
really.
I know. It's Southern hospitality.
Okay.
We've got to
Yes.
be good for something down here.
Oh, you guys are good for lots.
Yeah, yeah. I'm not going to get into that. I see you baiting me.
I was not. I was just thinking about peaches.
Oh, okay, okay. I was like, no, no, I'm not. Never mind.
Peaches and Jason Isbell.
Yes. I don't even know a lot about Jason Isbell. I didn't even know he was from the. Is he from the South?
Sounds like he's from the South.
Possibly. I know I sound like I'm from the backwoods of Alabama, but let's see.
No.
So, I want to know: do you have a favorite Crash Test Dummy song?
Um, it changes, but I think Heart of Stone right now is my favorite.
Okay, I always
Which is,
wondered why that was like the one song that got like was it's one of the greatest love songs I've ever heard. Like both times that the times that I've heard it live, like I'm not afraid to admit this. I cried like a baby both times I heard it live. I really
you know,
did.
it really gets a real deep emotional response from people, and well, the music is beautiful, but also I think for Brad, those words are absolutely true, and I think that comes through not only in the recording but in the live performance of it. Um, it's a beautiful love song, but it's also just heart wrenching, because this person who is madly in love with this person is just anticipating them dying,
Yeah.
and anticipating what, like, how empty they will be without this person. So it's a beautiful love song, but it's also just a very heart-wrenching comment on how we love and how we live, and what happens when you are taken away, or the one that you love is taken away from you.
Yeah. Hashtag high thoughts. I was like,
Happy. We're really we perform a lot of really happy, cheerful songs in Crash Test Dummies.
oh, y'all have some.
Death and dying and heartbreak. Yeah.
Yeah, like there's some amazing, like Afternoons and Coffee Spoons is a really just fun, upbeat. There's a lot of Crash Test Dummies music that deals. I don't want to get too deep or philosophical or anything, but there's a lot of Crash Test Dummies music, especially in the first couple of albums, that deals heavily with mortality, religion, belief systems, and stuff like that. Um, I know you weren't the one who put those songs together, but do those that's something that's not really addressed a whole lot in music. But it's a lot of deep thinking. Uh, has that have you sat and pondered the meanings of some of these words as much as you've sang on these tracks?
Um, yeah, I think I probably have. Makes me worry a little bit about Brad, but he seems to be doing okay.
Well, that was more back in the early '90s, and it seems like things have kind of been a little. I feel like the further y'all go, the more just carefree and upbeat the music gets.
Yeah, I think also, in the late 80s and early 90s, Brad was, studying and reading a lot of sort of philosophy and sort of harder subjects. And so those were the kinds of things that were influencing his writing at the time. And maybe now he's just a happier guy. I don't know. You got to ask him.
We were talking to you back in Atlanta about the vegan lifestyle. And I'm curious, I need to know, because I at one point was vegan and then I backslid quite a bit during the pandemic. I still eat a lot of plant-based food, but I've moved over to, like, eating fast food and stuff on occasion. Do you have advice or words of encouragement for somebody who, just out of laziness or lack of motivation, falls out of the lifestyle if they're wanting to get back in? Like, what would you say to me to be like, you know, I don't want to put you on the spot.
No, I use a quote from a vegan speaker, Colleen Patrick Goudreau, and I don't think she's the original person who said this, but it's, don't do nothing because you can't do everything. If you know what, if you're a vegan and, oh my God, I really want cheese, have a piece of cheese, but don't, and you have a piece of cheese, don't beat yourself up over it. You're not, in the desert whipping yourself with it shouldn't be a punishment. It's, eat what nourishes you, do what nourishes you. There's no such thing as a perfect vegan. If you think, oh my God, I would be vegan, but I cannot live without tuna sandwiches. Well, have a tuna sandwich and be vegan for everything else plant-based. It shouldn't be a zero-sum thing.
Oh, that you were the first, I'm pretty sure the first vegan that I've ever talked to who had that mentality. You don't get that a lot in the community.
Well, I think, a lot of new vegans, and I was like this too. It's like, nope, you cannot have honey, you cannot wear leather, and you, to be a true vegan, if you want to, you have to, you don't eat honey, you don't eat meat, you don't wear leather or wool or silk. Like, there's so many things that you have to avoid. But in canned foods, they use lubricants that are made from animal products. So are you going to call up every single can company for canned foods and see what is the lubricant that you use? It better be plant-based. It better be aloe vera in there. So I think it's just do the best you can. Just do the best you can. I'm not a perfect vegan. I slip up plenty. Plenty, but I'd say 95% of the time I am a vegan. 100% vegan. 60% of the time it's 100%. No, but it's not like some crazy strict religion where you're going to go to hell if you have a piece of cheese.
Cool. The only thing I have to say to that is thank you. Like, seriously, because you get a lot of judgment in the community, and to hear you give that statement is like a breath of fresh air. And I'm thinking maybe the reason a lot of people slip is because of just the never-ending pressure.
Well, it's the rigidity and the sort of black and white approach to any kind of lifestyle that I have a problem with, because we're human beings and we live in a pretty diverse world with lots of different ways of living and being. And we have to live with those people. And you can't just tell people, you better not eat meat, because they're just going to look at you and say, screw you. And they're not even going to think about how it could improve their life or their world. Right. Mm-hmm. So I think it's just, do the best you can.
Have you had the Impossible Whopper from Burger King?
I haven't had it from Burger King. I've had the A&W one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. The Beyond Meat burgers. I've had them. They're really good, but I have to be careful not to have too much around it because they're very rich. I don't eat a lot of I don't eat a lot of super rich food. Because it makes me feel gross afterwards. And so if I'm going to have a Beyond Meat burger, it's like, okay, that's all I'm having for now.
Just out of curiosity, if you don't mind me asking, what are some of your top foods that you eat, on the daily?
On the daily? Well, I'm not what you would call a foodie. I could eat the same thing every day as long as I was sure I was going to get all my nutrients. I don't we don't go to restaurants very often. I like cold cereal. I like bread. I pretty much have a salad every day, some kind of salad. And
What do you prefer milk wise? What kind of milk do you use in your cereal?
I use soy just because it has a higher protein content.
Do you have a favorite brand?
Silk.
Okay, yeah. Like matter of fact, see, I'm
Yeah.
telling you, I'm not perfect vegan. I do consume animal products on occasion, but the coffee that I'm drinking right here is
Mhm.
flavored with silk vanilla creamer.
Oh,
So
very nice.
yes, yeah, baby steps. So, um, so I want to talk about your cross stitch. You go on your Instagram, and there's a lot of cross stitch there.
A lot of cross stitch.
So
Uh,
tell for the layman who what is cross stitch and how did you get into that?
Cross stitch is a very, very old embroidery technique. I think they have examples of it, like from the 900s or something. Um, it became very popular in the 1600s, 1700s, 1800s. And often it would be done by young girls. That would be part of their education. I got into it because I've always loved embroidery. I've loved doing it. I've loved looking at it. I'm fascinated by textiles, um, and I find doing it to be very calming. Um, it's very repetitive. It's a very repetitive motion. You activate a couple different parts of your brain, so
Oh
it's
yeah.
very. There definitely is kind of a shoulder dropping um, thing that happens when you're doing it. Um, I kind of lost my mind about it a few years ago when I started watching YouTube videos of people talking about their cross stitch. These are like, you know, middle-aged ladies in Midwest America talking about cross stitch for hours on YouTube, and I am here for it. And now I'm one of them. So yeah, I do a lot of cross stitch, and I love it. And don't judge me.
Hey, well, cross stitch. Have you seen Game of Thrones?
I watched the first season, but then I stopped because there was just too much gratuitous boob.
Oh, that's why I watch it.
So
but
many boobs.
anyway, I think we might be on different wavelengths on that one.
Fair enough. Different strokes,
uh,
different.
but in the pilot episode, they had all of the girls of the town doing the stitching. Was that cross stitch where they had the little circular wooden
Oh,
thing with the fabric
yeah.
pulled over it, and they were doing this, making designs?
That would be cross stitch or embroidery because you can use like just straight embroidery. It's an embroidery hoop. Yeah.
Okay. So if anybody wants a nerd reference on cross stitch or embroidery, that pilot Game of Thrones where Arya and Sansa are doing the stitching. That's what Ellen does.
It's very, very important work.
Yes, it is. It's a hobby. I never discount someone's hobbies, even if it's something that I would never do in a million years, because there's all kinds of stuff that I do that people look at me or have my whole life. And you get that a lot in the nerd community. You know, you're 30 years old playing video games, and, you know, you got some people that are like, I wonder why you're wasting your time, you know, doing that. And, you know, then they're going over and watching football for 3 hours at a time. So,
Let people enjoy things, ma'am.
yes, yes. We're
It's
having
not hurting anybody. Do it you love.
Um, is there any particular work, either solo or with the band, that you were most proud of? Like if you had to send a song into space for an alien civilization to hear, what would that song be?
Well, if
And we're talking about an Ellen song. This is
okay, so it's not a Crash Test Dummies
no
song
no
because that'd
no.
be very different.
It just
Um,
something with you as the lead. It could be a Crash Test Dummies or it can be a solo work.
Probably Bullet. I think that's my favorite song of mine.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't think that alien civilization would, get much out of it because their music is basically glorp glorp beep warp. I've
Oh,
had a lot of contact with alien civilizations, you see. But yeah, if I was going to send it off
yeah.
in a NASA spaceship, then yeah, that would be the one of mine that I would pick.
Like that's your representative to space is Bullet.
Yes.
You
Yes.
know, hey, technically satellites pass over might be a good one.
Sure. Sure. Yeah. Yeah. That's
know,
another one.
one song that I really like of yours, and I think it just does a great job of just painting a picture in your mind, is After My Dinner.
I was just listening to that the other day, and I haven't listened to it for 10, 15 years.
Yeah.
And that's a great song. Creepy as hell. But I gotta hand it to Brad. That's a great song.
Was that? Oh man, my mind is playing tricks on me. Was that on A Worm's Life, or was that Demolitions?
With Demolitions.
Okay.
Yeah, that never made a record.
There's a lot of, and I think it's just because they were recorded around the same time. Even though Demolitions is my favorite album, that you guys did, I still get a lot of it mixed up with A Worm's Life because there's a lot of very similar composition between the albums.
That a lot of those songs were written for A Worm's Life or after A Worm's Life. So it was much of those songs are written around that time.
I heard that song. I don't know. I was listening to it and I was wanting to ask you a question just because I'll pick a lyric out. With Brad, it was like, do you wear pajamas in the daytime now? With you on that one, do you sleep with a box fan on?
No.
Okay. So
I don't. I didn't write that song. I didn't write the lyrics of that song.
Okay, I thought you may have had some input or something since you were the one that sang it.
Nope.
No,
I sang it, but Brad wrote it.
There, a song that you guys do live, and it's one that Brad typically does on the album, but you sing live.
My Own Sunrise?
Yes, My Own Sunrise. And any particular reason why you take leads on the live version of that? Because I like
it. It's just to get me singing a song, right?
Okay.
And we need music that fits with the rest of the set.
Mm-hmm.
And I always loved that song, and so I kind of pushed for it.
I mean, I like it too. It's another one of those that paints a very nice picture.
Mm-hmm.
You get like a lot of wilderness vibes.
Yes.
So let's see. I'm going to kind of skip over A Worm's Life because you didn't really, you didn't do any lead vocals on that one.
No.
But I feel like this may have been in an old interview of yours from like maybe back in the late 90s. You said that you all were in the Bahamas for that album.
It was horrible.
Really?
It was amazing.
Oh, okay. I was like, wait.
It was amazing.
Yeah, y'all must have gone in like right after a hurricane or something.
No, it was. We was at Compass Points in the Bahamas, and we were there for 3 months. Or between 2 and 3 months. Brad and Dan were there a bit longer. Brad, Dan, and Mitch. We engineered. What is it that you do after you record it? Not engineer.
Like post-production or something.
Yeah. I mixed it. It was mixed in Los Angeles, but the recording was done in the Bahamas, and we had beautiful weather. It was really good. The first time in my life I had a tan. The first and only time in my life I've had a tan.
Oh wow!
I look ridiculous.
I don't think I've ever actually seen you out in daylight before. So,
I am so white. I'm basically translucent.
I just had to make sure you weren't like a vampire or anything,
Yeah. I should be. That's how pale I am.
I don't want to like come backstage later and the whole band just devour me. Yeah, that wouldn't be good.
It could happen. Yeah. After the show, we get pretty hungry for human blood.
Okay. Well, can you promise that you'll just turn me and not really eat me?
It depends. It really depends. Do I really want people like, do you want to be like basically beholden to me for eternity?
I'd be all right.
Because I'm pretty bossy. I'm bossy. Remember Make You Mine?
But yeah. Oh, yeah. Never mind. I'm having second thoughts. Oh, well, you just had to bring that up, didn't you? That's in there. That seed is in your mind somewhere. There's potential. Okay. Okay, I'm having a good time. I want to kind of go off. I've noticed, and we talked about this a little bit. Y'all have gone on like a hiatus where you've not toured and stuff, but the band has never actually broken up. Like y'all weren't apart for 10 years and then decided to do a reunion. Y'all are still technically together.
Yes.
Okay.
We stopped touring in 2001. It was just getting to be too hard. We didn't have a label backing our touring.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was pretty impossible financially for us to tour. As we were used to touring with as many people, as many crew. And we all sort of wanted to try a few other things. We never actually said, okay, we're breaking up. Brad did all of his albums between 2001 and 2010 under Crash Test Dummies names, but he did that all in his own steam. Yeah. I would sing backups on some of them, but other than that, it was 100% him, right?
Yeah.
And then in 2010, Brad and I did a little acoustic tour. And then, it wasn't until 2018 or 2017 that we thought maybe we could do it, because at that point it's like a nice nostalgia thing for people, right? And for us. Yeah. We didn't actually think there was that there would be an audience for us. We didn't think that people would come out, because it has been a long time. Yeah. And many people would consider us to be a one or few hit wonder. They're not like hardcore fans. You know what I'm saying? We had you know what I'm saying.
Oh yeah. I know, I'm one of them.
So yes, thank you. So we never actually broke up, but we all just sort of did our own things. Mm-hmm. We never really thought that it was possible that we would be touring again, but we never actually officially broke up, I don't think.
I'm assuming you guys are happy with the attendance and the numbers that you're seeing right now, because the two shows that I've been to have been pretty packed.
Yeah, I mean, for a band that had moderate international success, mm-hmm. 30 years ago, for us to play a sold out venue of 400 people is in multiple cities is great. I mean, some cities we do 1,000 people, some cities we do less, depending on the market. But for us to still have a decent sized audience is really remarkable and really humbling. And the fun thing is that our fans are bringing their kids to the shows, because their dad would play God Shuffle His Feet for them when they were little, just like my parents would play Harry Belafonte. So I would go to Harry Belafonte concerts with my parents. So it's really nice seeing this multi-generational sharing. And that's really.
Yeah, I love it, because, see, I'm one of those people, like I said, and you talk about parents bringing their kids and stuff. I don't know if you've heard the story or not, but I just turned 38, and when I was in the 12 to 13-year-old range, my mother had the God Shuffled His Feet album, and we would listen to that, and then we found out, oh, y'all had an album before this, and so we got Ghosts That Haunt Me, and those were the only two albums we had for a while, because we lived in a tiny little podunk town in northwest Georgia that didn't have a record store. They didn't have anything, so those were the only two albums that I even knew existed until, I'm gonna say, around 99, when Keep a Lid on Things was getting MTV airplay. And when I saw that, I was like, oh my God, they're still making music. But unfortunately, none of the places that I went to had the album. And then I discovered around 2011 that y'all had A Worm's Life, Give Yourself a Hand, Ooh La La was, getting ready to come out. And I mean, it was like, I was like, oh wow, I'd missed a lot. And so I just consumed all of this Crash Test Dummies content. And that was when I discovered a lot of your lead vocal tracks. And I was like, oh, wow, Like, because I'd never heard any Ellen stuff up to that point, besides your backup singing. And I was like, yeah, okay. And your music ended up becoming, some of my favorite songs.
Oh, thank you.
But no, anyway, like that, it was a really big nostalgia because my mom passed away suddenly in 2014. And when I found out you guys were touring again, and then we went to see it, and, we went to see the show, and y'all had the God Shuffled His Feet t-shirt, with the album cover on it. And so whenever I saw it, I was like, oh my God, that's the exact same shirt that my mom bought when she went and saw you guys in Chattanooga back in the mid-90s. And so I was like, I gotta have it. And so I don't know if you could tell, but like I'm wearing it right now.
Oh, that's like so nice.
Yeah.
That's a really nice story.
So I'm like, it is. It's a big thing because a lot of us, even in our 30s and 40s, we listened to y'all with our parents back then. And now we're instilling that, into, our kids. Mm-hmm. And it's neat because you guys have music that, yeah, it might be 30 years old, but God, it still holds up.
Well,
like it really does. And
thanks a lot.
Y'all are one of the very few bands that I can go through every single song on every single album and not want to skip a single one.
Oh, and that's a compliment. Thank you.
Very much. I do. I love you guys. So anyway, I'm going to quit kissing butt for a minute, and we're going to do the last few questions of this interview. Do you have it, Untitled Nerd Network, which is where we're doing this interview, is a kind of a brand I've built from the ground up. And I'm just curious, do you have any like huge earth-shattering, groundbreaking news that you might want to throw out here, as like a big defining moment, something unexpected? I was fishing here for a little something.
Oh, there's some stuff on my shoe. Like band stuff. We're going on tour. We start in Kansas City on the 24th of February. And we're going to be touring sort of mostly the east part of the States, a little bit sort of into a little bit of Ohio, that kind of, that far west, Chicago, that kind of thing. And after that, we go to Europe. Hopefully, if all goes well, we're going to Europe. That's the plan. And then as soon as we're done these shows, these are all makeup shows from 2020. Then we're going to start, we'll talk about the West Coast of the States and Canada again, and then just around and around. But the only thing we just want to get these makeup shows done because people have been waiting we've been waiting for 2 years to do these shows. The venues have been waiting. I feel really bad for the venues and the promoters because they've had a struggle. I'm looking forward to, that's it. We're going back on the road. That's my big news. Surprise.
Okay. So you don't have like a confession that maybe one of the band members has like, maybe killed somebody or, nobody's like any kind of like front page.
Well, probably not that I'm aware of. We've got some pretty smart people in the band, so if they had committed murder, they would probably know how to cover it.
So, all right. I want to make sure I'm not forgetting anything here. Okay, so basically, I want to let you know how very much. Thank you for coming on today. This
My
really
pleasure.
means a lot. You guys are really my favorite band. Like I've said this for years and years. And to interview Brad and now to interview you, like I know this is gonna sound like just kissing butt, but if my interview career were to end right now, like I have reached the apex because one of my main things, I didn't think I would ever get to see you guys in concert, at much less be able to interview you.
Well, it's been our absolute pleasure doing interviews and getting to know you, Lonnie. So
I appreciate it.
our
It's
pleasure.
like I said, I very much appreciate you coming on. So y'all have some big tour dates coming up, and I did not know that y'all were going to be shooting for some West Coast shows eventually. I know I've been getting been reading a lot of requests, but I didn't know that was
Yeah, that those
something.
are in the work.
Yeah,
Those are just in the works. So there's nothing like there are no set dates. Our agents are just working on it. I think they really just want to make sure we get these makeup dates done. And then, you know, pandemic willing, we will be on the road again. So if any of your listeners or viewers want to find out if we're going to be near them anytime, just go to www.crashtestdummies.com for tickets and info. And there's there's pictures and interviews and a store and stuff like that. But if you want to know where we're going to be, that's where to go.
I'll stay on with you for just a second after the interview. Also, oh yeah, and UNN, myself and Amber will actually be seeing you guys March 18th in Atlanta at the City Winery.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to it. Atlanta has always been a very good market for us. I mean, that's the city that Crash Test Dummies broke. That's where we broke in the States in 1994. So, hang on, I'm on low power mode. Hang on.
Oh no.
Hang on. Oh, there. Okay. There. I'm okay. So we have a very soft spot in our hearts for Atlanta because it's been a great market. And if it wasn't for the city of Atlanta and the radio station there, I wouldn't be doing this interview with you.
I hate. It's a sign of the times, but I absolutely hate that 99X, the band or the radio station that really put y'all on the map, in the U.S. I hate that they are not what they used to be because
format change.
Yeah, they were such an amazing station, and to be completely honest, that's probably where I heard you all first.
I'm sure. Yeah.
I do want to give credit where credit's due. My older cousin John, he actually introduced me to you guys. He got your God Shuffled His Feet album off of the BMG music service. The old mail order catalogs that you used to get.
Yeah.
And that was where we discovered it. And then when we got that, my mom was like, "Hey, we need a copy of that." And so we got it. Then it just snowballed from there. So I do, every time I talk to one of y'all from the band, I like giving him credit because, he's the one that got the ball rolling for me.
Oh, well, thank you. You thank him.
But anyway, we will see y'all in next month in Atlanta.
I know.
Any final thoughts? You want to talk about your social media, where people can follow you?
Oh yeah. We are Crash Test Dummies official on Instagram. We have the Crash Test Dummies, like the page on Facebook. We have the official Crash Test Dummies group, which is a place where fans can come and talk and exchange stories. So the official Crash Test Dummies group is the fan one, and then the page is where we do official stuff. On Twitter, it's CTD Band.
Okay.
Or CTD's Band.
Well, all you gotta do is, I think, look up Crash Test Dummies on Twitter, and I think it pops up. I think that's how I found y'all.
I think it's all on the website too, crashtestdummies.com.
Also, I think I speak on behalf of all of the fans of the band. Thank you for having that Facebook group. That is, or not necessarily having the group, but participating in it like you do, because there's not a lot of bands out there, especially on the national scene, that really interact the way you and some of the others do, with the fans. So that's really cool, and I think that makes everybody
We enjoy
feel
it.
ultra special. So
We enjoy it, and we've got some pretty cool people who are on that page and who are interesting, funny, smart people. So we enjoy interacting with our fans. We really do.
I love it. Well, Ellen, thank you for coming on. It's been a pleasure, and I'm sure this isn't the last time we'll speak.
Sure not, Lonnie.
All right, Ellen Reid. She is the backup, sometimes lead singer, Crash Test Dummies. You play a mean accordion, by the way.
It's just a sideways piano. I don't play the buttons. I'm a complete faker.
Really?
Yeah.
Hold on. I need to. You were having issues with your power, and now my laptop is starting to go dead. We can't have that happen. What? This is the last question. You, between Ghosts That Haunt Me and even a little bit on God Shuffled His Feet, there was a lot of accordion going on. That eventually was kind of phased out. Was there any particular reason on that? Because it was a very distinct sound early on.
Well, the first record was very much sort of a roots Celtic rock kind of country album,
Yep.
and the accordion really fit in. But once you get into, some of God Shuffled His Feet and A Worm's Life, it just didn't fit in with the music that Brad was writing.
I could see that, and I wanted to address something that I actually saw in the group as we were talking about. There was a version that someone posted. It was a live recording of some kind of benefit concert you guys did, and it was a version of When I Go Out with Artists, but it had different lyrics, and it, instead of sounding like instead of having the sound like it had a lot of accordion. It almost sounded like a Ghost That Haunt Me album version of When I Go Out with Artists. There was a lot of accordion, some harmonica maybe.
I don't remember that at all.
And it was for some kind of I'll have to find the video and send it to you, because
yeah, I don't remember that at all.
Yeah, it's weird how they record something years ago, and then you're like, well, it happened, but I have the same thing about interviews that happened 5 years ago. I'll be like, hey, I saw you at a con and said hey, and we had a great conversation, and oh yeah, hi. Sorry, I don't.
Marches on, right?
Yeah. So anyway, thank you, Ellen, for coming on, and Crash Test Dummies is going to be touring all through the spring, a little bit of the summer, and through the fall in the U.S., then hitting Europe, and y'all are going to have a great time, and I'm sure y'all are going to put on a hell of a show.
I know we will have fun.
All right. Thanks for coming on, Ellen.
Thank you.
I'm Lonnie with Untitled Nerd Network, here with the amazing Ellen Reid of Crash Test Dummies. And we'll be back later in the week. We're going to be interviewing Eric and Julia Lewald. They were the two of the top creative minds off the X-Men 90s animated series. They're going to be joining us from way over in California. And we'll see y'all then.